Hello, and welcome to this presentation related to formatting formulae or equations on a single line. This is actually a continuation of a previous presentation related to the word processing of calculations, where often we were given a formula, such as that shown here, which was stated effectively on two lines, what was termed two-line formatting, and for convenience of the word processing, we rewrote the formula onto one line, as shown here. So essentially in this presentation we're going to consider some further examples related to the formatting of two-line formulae or equations onto one line. Obviously, I've mentioned previously we must ensure that our precedence, BODMAS, rules are maintained as we convert from two-line formatting to one-line formatting. Here's a recap slide from the previous presentation showing the order of precedence. We undertake a calculation, and for expediency of performing calculations, I sometimes show the precedence rules in this pyramid format, slightly condensed order of precedence. And we also need to be aware of the laws and the rules of indices. As again mentioned in the previous presentation, we often use indices to help us convert from two-line formatting to one-line formatting, particularly the fractional index shown here and the reciprocal index shown here. So let's now consider some perhaps more complicated formulae that are expressed initially over two lines, and we'll show how we can write them onto one line. So example 1 here shows the equation for t is equal to 2v divided by g, and that's all multiplied by 1 divided by 1 minus e. So obviously we're showing the formula in two lines here, but in terms of one line formatting, we could show the formula for t using this expression, making use of brackets appropriately here. Alternatively, t can be expressed this way, making use of the -1 index, which means reciprocal, or even expressed in this format here. So three different ways here of taking the original equation, which was stated on two lines, and now writing on one line. Example 2, again we're given a formula this time. On the left hand side we have p divided by q. That's equal to the expression on the right hand side, and again using our one line formatting, we can write the left hand side as p divided by q, and using the half notation for square root, we can now state the numerator shown here and the denominator shown here in terms of these brackets. So just note for reference that this square root symbol can be written in terms of the index of a half. Also just note the different styles of brackets used here are purely to indicate that we have nested brackets. So square bracket here and the curved bracket here. But generally we use the same style of bracket throughout. So moving from two-line formatting to one-line formatting and using the fractional index eases the word processing requirements. Example 3, again another quite complicated equation, subject is z initially. You can see the formula here effectively has two lines shown. Again using the one-line formatting, and z equals 2. This time I've kept the square root, but you can see inside the square root I've replaced the terms in the bracket here with this expression here. Again making use of the -1 index for the omega c term. Again notice the use of nested brackets. Three different types have been used here to aid the illustration of example 3. So again moving from a two-line formatting to a one-line formatting. Example 4, we're given that c is equal to 1 divided by this expression shown here. So using one-line formatting, that c is equal to 1 divided by, there's our expression now in a square bracket. Or we could write that as C is equal to the expression in the square bracket, but this time raised to the power of -1. So again, we've taken our two-line formatting and showed two variations in how we can write it in one-line formatting. Example 5, again another illustration. It's a fluid mechanics equation for flow rate Q here. Again written on 2 lines. And again I showed the one-line formatting for Q and here. And alternatively shown here, again using the -1 index. There's just a few examples there to show how formulae or equations written over 2 lines can be written on 1 line, and so aid the word processing when we're using table formats. You obviously do need a good understanding of fractions and BODMAS and indices to be able to write the formulae or the equations in 1 line formatting. I hope this presentation has been of some interest to you, and thank you for viewing.